The year is 1350, and the sun rises over the city of London, revealing a sprawling labyrinth of timber and stone that smells of death and decay. To the modern eye, this is not a romantic setting of knights and chivalry, but a biological hazard zone of terrifying proportions. A stranger from the 21st century would likely not survive a single day in this hostile environment, as their immune system would collapse within hours. The air itself is a weapon, heavy with the smoke of thousands of wood fires and the toxic fumes of tanneries and lime kilns. There is no concept of fresh air in this metropolis of 40,000 souls who live crammed together in a space scarcely larger than a modern airport terminal. The first assault on the senses is the stench, a physical wall of odor composed of rotting garbage, animal carcasses, and human waste. The streets are not paved with gold, but with a mixture of mud and excrement known as muck, which reaches up to the ankles of the passers-by. There is no sewer system to carry away the filth, so it accumulates in the open drains that run down the center of the narrow, winding lanes. Residents simply empty their chamber pots out of the upper windows, often without warning. A modern visitor would instinctively look for water to wash away the grime.
But water here is a bringer of death rather than life. The River Thames, the great artery of the city, serves simultaneously as the main source of drinking water and the primary dumping ground for butchery waste and sewage. Microbes such as cholera and typhoid thrive in this liquid, invisible killers that would decimate a modern human intestine.
The locals know better than to drink the water straight, which is why they consume weak ale from the moment they wake until they sleep. Alcohol is the only safe fluid, as the brewing process kills some of the pathogens, but it also means that the entire population operates in a constant state of mild intoxication. Food is no safer, as the lack of refrigeration means that meat and fish begin to rot the moment the animal is slaughtered. Unscrupulous butchers often try to mask the smell of putrefaction with heavy spices. Even the daily bread can be a source of madness and death caused by a fungus known as ergot that grows on damp rye. This fungus causes St. Anthony's fire, a horrific condition that leads to hallucinations, gangrene, and the sensation that one's limbs are burning.
If the biological dangers do not kill the stranger, the human element likely will. For London is a city of extreme violence. There is no police force in the modern sense, only the city watch, which is often corrupt, underpaid, and hopelessly outnumbered. Arguments in taverns are settled not with words, but with daggers. And a body found in the gutter in the morning is just another statistic for the coroner.
The murder rate is estimated to be 50 times higher than in modern London, making it one of the most dangerous places in the known world. Gangs of liveried retainers employed by powerful noblemen roam the streets with impunity. To make eye contact with the wrong man or to fail to yield the right of way can result in a fatal stabbing. As the sun sets, the city undergoes a terrifying transformation, becoming a realm of absolute darkness and shadow. There are no street lights to banish the gloom, only the flickering torches of the watchmen and the faint glow from behind shuttered windows. The curfew bell rings out, signaling that the city gates are closing and that honest citizens should be indoors. Anyone found wandering the streets after dark is immediately suspected of being a thief, a murderer, or a spy. Darkness hides the deep ditches and the crumbling edges of the riverbank, where a single misstep can send a wanderer into the freezing black water of the Thames. Even if one survives the fall, the heavy woolen clothing would act as an anchor, dragging the victim down into the muck. For those who fall ill or are injured, the medical treatment available is often more terrifying than the affliction itself. Doctors follow the ancient theory of the four humors, believing that illness is caused by an imbalance of blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. The universal cure for almost everything is bloodletting, performed by barber surgeons who use unsterilized blades to drain pints of blood from already weakened patients. A modern person with appendicitis or a simple infection would find no mercy here. Surgery is performed without anesthesia, save perhaps for a sponge soaked in opium and hemlock, which is just as likely to stop the heart as it is to dull the pain. The hospitals, such as St. Bartholomew's, are not places of healing, but waiting rooms for the grave. Fire is another constant companion of fear, as the city is essentially a giant pile of kindling waiting for a spark. The houses are built of timber and wattle, coated with pitch and roofed with straw, standing so close together that neighbors can shake hands across the street. A dropped candle or a stray ember can ignite a blaze that consumes entire wards in a matter of hours. There are no fire engines, only leather buckets and iron hooks used to pull down burning houses. The legal system is swift, brutal, and lacks any presumption of innocence. The prisons, like the notorious Newgate, are hellholes where inmates must pay for their own food and shackles. Those who cannot pay are left to starve in the dark, chained to the walls in conditions of unspeakable filth. Public executions are a form of mass entertainment, drawing crowds to Tyburn or Smithfield to watch hangings, beheadings, or burnings. The heads of traitors are dipped in tar and displayed on pikes above London Bridge, their empty eye sockets staring down at the travellers entering the city. It is a grim reminder of the absolute power of the crown. Social etiquette is a minefield where a single faux pas can lead to social ostracization or physical punishment.
Sanctuary laws dictate exactly what fabrics and colors a person can wear based on their social rank. The hierarchy is rigid. Everyone knows their place, from the Lord Mayor down to the lowest gong farmer who cleans the cesspits. These gong farmers have one of the worst jobs in history, descending into the suffocating fumes of the latrines to shovel out the night soil.
Yet even they are an essential part of the city's precarious survival, fighting a losing battle against the mounting tide of waste. Perhaps the greatest danger of all is the invisible one, the great pestilence that is always lurking in the background. The black rats that scurry through the rafters and the fleas that infest the bedding are the vectors of the plague. In a world without antibiotics, a simple flea bite can turn into a swollen bubo within days, followed by fever, delirium, and death. The stranger from the future carries no immunity to these ancient strains of bacteria. London in the Middle Ages is a sensory overload, a place of extreme contrast between the wealth of the merchants and the squalor of the poor. The gold cloth in the shops of Cheapside glitters just yards away from the beggars displaying their sores to elicit charity.
The noise is deafening. A cacophony of church bells, iron-shod wheels on cobblestones, animal cries, and the shouts of street hawkers. It is a city that never really sleeps, driven by commerce, greed, and the desperate struggle for survival. To survive here requires a specific set of skills, a hardened immune system, and a ruthless mindset that a modern human simply does not possess.
The 24 hours would likely end with the traveler dead in an alley. It is a sobering realization that the romanticized past was in reality a dystopian nightmare. The ancestors who lived through this were survivors of the highest order. London stands today as a monument to their endurance. The medieval Londoner faced death every day and yet found ways to live, to create, and to prosper in the shadow of the abyss.